What if your faith was your greatest power-up? In a world where battles rage both on the screen and in the soul, where XP is earned through struggle and transformation is the ultimate endgame, this is your sanctuary. Welcome to God, Games, and Gains, the podcast where spiritual growth meets squad-based discipline, where the weight of the world is lifted, one rep, one prayer, one power-up at a time. I'm your host, Coach Matt, fitness guide, faith seeker, and gamer at heart. This is your call to level up, body, mind, and soul. Faith, fandom, fitness. Let's get it. Welcome in, misfits, gamers, nerds, truth seekers. Today's topic is really important because you might have asked yourself the question in the past, how does it seem like people around me are always receiving things effortlessly, but others seem to struggle so much? And this comes down to what you believe, because your beliefs shape what you receive. And some call it manifestation, some call it law of attraction, others call it answers prayers or destiny. And there's ties to games, our faith, different religions, and even psychology if you want a more science-based approach. But they all line up together. And it teaches you that your beliefs are shaping your reality. It shows you that the things you think about, the things you start creating as true for you, what you start believing, will align with your actions and create your reality. So no matter what you label it, it all aligns with your intentions, what is true to you, your beliefs, and how you follow through with it. And it might sound magical, but it's not magic. It's purposeful focus and consistent action anchored in deep belief. So let's talk about manifestation. So manifestation, that's like the new age woo that people talk about these days, right? But it's not really woo. It's all aligned with the different practices. And manifestation is turning your desires into reality. Law of attraction is like attracts like. It's positive focus draws positive outcomes. And answered prayers is faith-based. It's belief meets divine orchestration. Because your beliefs are strong, when your faith is strong, things come through for you. So if you're someone who believes more in a science-based approach, science has studied this, and this whole belief shaping your reality is true. And it's all because of how it aligns in your life. There was a study published that surveyed 1,023 participants, and a third of them endorsed manifestation and beliefs, and they lived a more successful life because they believed that they would live a more successful life. There's another dark side to this, though, that there's a toxic side of the belief where you can just have wishful thinking. And this is actually dangerous because wishful thinking is not what not what we're looking for. Okay? Beliefs and behavior don't equal wishful thinking, but this toxic mindset of wishful thinking can get you into bad situations. Like some of these people, they would take riskier investments and some of them were bankrupt, but they still believe that they could have a better outcome. And this is the part that's good, because the belief has to be set with your intentions. You have to take aligned actions. You can't just take random actions, okay? And I'll get into this further and explain to you how this works in my life and how it can work in your life too, okay? So how this could work is by visualization, okay? You visualize the positive outcome. You rehearse the goal of the achievement. You have rehearsed how it feels, and then you align all of your actions with that outcome because you already believe that that outcome exists. And this is how it all works. Okay? And when we look at religion to tie into this, religion teaches us this too. Okay? When we believe in God and we know that everything that we need is going to be given to us, when we believe so strongly, when we have that faith that anything is possible, then everything is possible. Like Jesus said, if you have faith like a grain of a mustard seed, nothing is impossible. And it shows that even this small spark of faith is so powerful. But it has to be sincere. When we look at Judaism, they talk about, I might be saying this wrong, but it's emuna. Okay, I believe that's how it's said. But it's about faith. It's also about faith through actions. And why it's important is because it's not about wishful thinking. It's not just about knowing that God is there and that God will provide. It's that knowing that God is there and will provide and living a life that aligns with that. A good example that was used was a thief knows that God exists and will cry out for God to help him. But why would he steal in the first place, which goes against God? And that's the kind of faith you have to have. It's not just knowing God exists. It's that believing in God, having this faith as small as a mustard seed, that God will do everything, that God is everything, that God will provide everything, that your needs will always be met. And the fundamental belief and this faith is the core of everything. Because when you learn these teachings, no matter what you call it, when you learn these teachings, you start creating this belief. And when you believe that you are worthy of the outcome, when you believe that you will already be granted the thing, when you already know that the thing is there, this belief rewires your brain to see it. And then all of your actions, everything that's in your reality, that's in your world around you, starts shaping, because the way you look at things starts shaping. And it's a big mindset thing. Okay? And we've been teaching this, we've been learning these things for thousands of years. This isn't a new thing. This manifestation, we call it nowadays, or law of attraction, these things aren't new. These things were all encoded from teachings that were given to us from God. God was teaching us how to do this. God is teaching us how to believe in God and how to receive everything we want. It means aligning our life with this belief system. It means aligning your life, knowing that everything you need is going to be provided. And you might notice when you wish for negative things, you may not truly feel like you want those things, so you won't receive those things. But when you really have that true intention in your heart, when you really believe that you want this thing, that you desire this thing, and it's a good intention, and your intention's everything, you can't have any shred of doubt that you'll receive the thing. Because 99% isn't enough. You have to be 100% certain that you're going to receive it. And you'll notice how you'll receive everything you want. But the thing is, when we ask God for something, and the thing we want doesn't align with God, God isn't going to give us that thing. But when our intentions are true, and we're only seeking good, we will receive everything we need, everything we want, because it aligns with God. And if we look at the Quran, Muslims also believe this faith. They have this because they believe in what they're learning. They believe what they're taught by God. And by aligning their actions, they have this belief that they'll receive more than what they give out. And so they do. There's a verse, it says, whoever brings a good deed will have 10 times its reward. And this holds true. So the more good you do, it all teaches you how to do more good. And when you do more good, you receive more good. It's the law of attraction. The idea is like attracts like. You start putting out there what you want to receive, and you'll start receiving more of it. And this all ties back into shaping your reality because you're also changing your mind. It's like when you own a white car, you see more white cars. It all ties into your brain too. It all goes together. And even in the games we play, when we play games, we're actually creating this reality too. Because when we play games, we're leveling up, we're defining goals, grinding the XP, trusting the journey because we know we're going to hit level 2. We know we're going to hit level 3. We know we're going to get to end game because we have a clear sense of progression. We know what's coming at the end. We know it's there already. So we act in a way that lets us get to that end goal. And more about the lore side of things. If you look at Warhammer, when these gods were created because of people's beliefs, and then they feed them because their focus on certain things are feeding these different chaos gods. Because their beliefs align with that. It's the law of attraction again. When you're putting out there, you're feeding these gods who are getting stronger because you're believing in a certain thing. It all comes from this idea. And I've tried these different methods, right? Like I've done scripting, I've done different things that people would call woo-woo practices. I haven't done all of them, but I've done some of them, and they do work. The thing is, how they work is by rewiring your brain. And these things you won't just learn from woo-woo practices, okay? If you go to therapy, they're going to teach you different skills that help you rewire your brain to train you how to see a more positive outcome. And when you align that positive outcome, you get positive results. It improves your chance of success. And this has worked in my life. But what has worked more than that is a combination of things. Because when you know who is creating all of these things, which is God, then everything will align for you perfectly. You won't just have a sometimes chance of success. You'll have an all the time chance of success because you're living aligned with God. You're living a good life. You'll receive good things all the time. You'll see how things will just flow into your life nonstop because you only see positive and you only do positive. And when I say that, I don't mean this in a toxic way where I'm saying you'll never have bad feelings. You'll never feel what we quote as negative emotions. Okay, because really there is no negative emotions. Everything is just experiences that are teaching you how to align better and how to grow as a person. Okay, so I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is you can feel these quote negative emotions, but you can still come out positive because you see the positive in it. For example, if you feel anger, you see this not as a negative emotion, but you see this as a way of expression. You know how to manage your emotions. Maybe you get angry and you outburst in anger. That's also a good experience because now you know where you're weaker and where you could use some work to grow. And these are the opportunities that God gives you to grow as a person and to become the person you want to be, to level up in your life. When I'm playing World of Warcraft and I go and try and pull too many mobs at once because I have this overconfidence and I die, that's not a bad experience. It's a good experience because now I know I can't pull 4. I can only pull 3. You see what I'm saying? These are all positive experiences. It's not about negative experiences or positive experience. It's about seeing that there's a blessing, there's a lesson in every single thing that happens. Because when that happens, everything in your life starts to go positive. Everything starts to go well. Your success rate goes up because you're not holding yourself back down anymore. You're not letting yourself fail. You're not telling yourself you're failing because there is no failure. There's only feedback. So how do you do this? Okay. Try this simple process. So get clear on what you want. Define what you want. Feel like you deserve what you want to create the belief. Then embody the outcome. Okay. Get to the end goal. How do you feel, think, see? What do you smell in that area? Get deep with it. What happens when you already have the outcome? Then, what steps can you take to get to that outcome? What step would you take today if you were already that person in the future? What would you do right now? And then pay attention to the opportunities that come. And then practice gratitude to God for giving you all of this knowledge, for giving you what you need to learn on the path, for granting you what you desire. And remember, guys, the thing you desire might take time. God's timing is not our time. We may not just receive a miracle the next day of exactly what we want, but God may align things in our path in order to help us create it in reality, in order to build us up to the person that can create it, in order to build us up to the person that we need to be to manage it, to not lose it right away. A lot of people try and manifest money, but if you had all this money, what would you do with it today? Would you really use it the way that you say you want to use it? Or are there things that you would just go and blow it away on? People try and look for love. But do you believe that you deserve that love? Or do you just want somebody else to love you and not love the other person the same way? Do you believe that you're ready for that? Right? And God might even give you opportunities to grow as a person before you can get to that spot. What if there is emotional pain and trauma you need to heal before you can get that love? Because you need to learn how to communicate effectively. You need to learn how to not run away, not escape, how to effectively communicate so it's not always a fight. Right? So what's important, remember, is to just take one step with faith, because there might be fear behind it too. It's hard to take steps sometimes because you don't know what the outcome is. But the thing is, if you already believed you had the outcome, and you already believe that everything you're about to do is going to lead you to that outcome, because there is only one option, there is only one outcome, okay? There is only success. Every single step you're going to take is leading you to that success. You don't need to overthink it. You just need to take one step with faith. And when you take one step with faith, it's like automatic lights. As you take one step, God will light the next one, and the next one, and the next one, and the next one. And it's not always the way we see it ideally. It's good to visualize it and have a plan of action, but the plan of action might change because God's plan, God's timing might be different than our timing and our plan. But it's still important to do those practices, but not to get stuck in them, okay? Don't get stuck in the planning phase. Because there's a difference between waiting for an answer from God and waiting for God out of fear, because that's not waiting for God. When it's fear, it's not waiting for God. It means that we're too scared of the outcome, which means we have a lack of faith in God, because we don't like the possibility of an outcome that happens. But the thing is, every outcome is good because it's not failure, it's feedback. Even if you Even if you take a step and you thought that was the wrong action, there's still something to learn there. Because think about it this way. Would you rather be stuck where you are now for 10 days? For 10 more days? Or take one step now, know that it was the wrong move, quote, wrong move, and then do the other thing that you were going to do? You have two options, but you're stuck. Would you rather wait there 10 days or take one action now, know it's not right, and now this same day you can take the other action? Now you have 9 more days to keep stepping in faith. And this 10 days may not seem like long because you may have been waiting longer. If you're someone who's trying to lose weight and you've been in this cycle of not getting results, starting over, and you've been doing this for years, you could be at 1,000 days now. But the thing is, every time you started over, every time you kept going, you learned something new. You learn that certain things don't work, but you keep trying the same things that didn't work in the past, and then expecting a different outcome. And every time you did that, you've now created this belief system. You believe that you'll never succeed, but you haven't tried everything. You think you've tried everything, but you haven't tried everything. I'm 100% certain you could go out there and find a new strategy. And that new one might just be the one that will work for you. And even times where we have something right in front of us, we have the golden nugget sitting right in front of us, when we have this belief system created that we can't succeed, that's not even going to work for us. Because we believe that it's not going to work for us. And this is a trap. So this, I want you to remember, is how strong your power of belief is. How strong your mind is. Because you have been stuck believing that you will not succeed, that you don't deserve things. And maybe other people helped create this belief, but you can't keep blaming other people for it. Because at the end of the day, you have control over what you believe. Yes, other people can aid us in that belief. But at the end of the day, we have control over that. We choose what we believe. And external circumstances have a part to play. But you have control over your reality. You don't have to hold on to that truth. You don't have to keep believing that you aren't worthy, that you can't succeed, that you aren't worthy of love. You don't have to believe that you're poor. Because when you put that out there, you start seeing more of it and you start creating that reality. So you get yourself stuck in that reality. So start reframing the way you look at things. Don't look at things as failure anymore. Look at it as feedback. Learn when things don't work for you. And do something new. Take a new step. Because God isn't asking you to do the same thing over and over and over again, unless there's something you missed. But if you already did something, it didn't work, and you know it didn't work, like going back to that ex, stop doing that. Because God is trying to help you take another step. So whatever it is you guys are trying to achieve out there, remember that you need to believe that you will succeed. And keep going. Keep taking one more step with faith. Trust in God. Believe in God. Believe that God will provide everything you need. And this is easier to say than it is to do, I know. But keep trying. And ask God for help. If you need help with your belief, with your faith, ask God. Because He'll align things for you. And the reason that I say to tie this into your faith is because how it's come through in my life. So when I was a teenager, I was not very good in school. I wouldn't do homework. I barely paid attention in class. But I never failed. And I would always get a little stressed about tests. And basically my life was just playing video games, mostly World of Warcraft. But it would come to tests and exams, and I would do very well. And even on projects. But the thing is, I did enough to get by. But what really did it for me was that I had 100% faith in God. And I would always pray to God. I would say, God, I got myself in this situation. Please help me. And I know I got myself in that situation. I didn't know coming up to the point, but I'd get to that point and I'd say, I need your help. I would ask God for help. And I 100% faith believed that God would help me. And when I did those tests, I would pass with flying colors. And people would always ask me, Matt, how do you do so well on tests? I didn't tell them thinking about it back then, but that's how I did it. I would always pray to God, and I would ask God for help. That's how everything always works for me. Sure, the belief, aligning your beliefs and your actions and everything, that all works, but it's really, where does it come from? It's not just us. There's more to it than that. So make sure you practice gratitude too for God, and thank God for aligning the things you need. Another example for me was when I needed to heal my emotional wounds, my emotional trauma. A lot of seemingly bad things happened in my life. But it was never so bad that I couldn't heal from it. And sometimes it needed to happen because there were things I needed to see that I needed to heal. Like for me, for years in therapy, I couldn't make any progress because my masks and my walls were so strong. It took one of the deepest hits and one of the biggest emotional traumas I've ever had to deal with for me to realize where I was weak. And it was like the final trebuchet shot that hit the crack in the wall that finally broke and everything spilled out. And in that exact same time, when all of that stuff happened, I'd been waiting a year for therapy. And suddenly, it lined up for me. Suddenly, there were classes available that taught me boundaries. Suddenly, everything in my life started to align with this healing process. But that action was a necessary step along the path. And then I thank God because I said, God, thank you for that situation. I thanked him later. I didn't thank God in that moment because I was still asking. I was like, why did this happen? Why did this happen? Why did this happen? But it happened because I needed the feedback. I needed to see what I needed to heal because it wasn't working for years before. Because I couldn't see it. I didn't even know it was there. Because through my whole life, I was laying brick by brick and built this fortress. It just had one crack, and it would come out sometimes. But I would immediately mask it again because I was so good at repairing it, that mask. But then, suddenly, it was like out of nowhere, therapy lined up for me. What I needed lined up for me. Everything I needed lined up for me. It felt like everything in my life was falling into place after it felt like everything in my life was taken away. But that's because that life that was taken away from me, that part that was taken away from me, wasn't meant for me. It was part of my healing process. And I can go more into that in another episode, but the point is, things won't always happen the way that we envision them. But when we ask for help, and we believe that we'll receive the help, things will start aligning for us. And sometimes it won't seem like help, but sometimes the help And that pain is what we need to help us. And that's my personal example. And there are other examples I'll go into later on in future episodes. But I just wanted to leave you with that. I wanted to show you how important it is, because we can do these manifestations, law of attraction things, and this belief thing to have a higher chance of success. But when you see these miraculous things happening, you wonder, where is this coming from? I couldn't have chosen to align all of these things for me, but my mind aligned with it, and God then put everything in front of me when I was ready to see them. Everything aligned. So remember where it's all coming from. And I know some people, they say the universe, they say God, some people say other things. But what's important is not a name, because this one God that we believe in, this one entity, has many names, but it's still one. God is still one. It's your intention. Because we created these words. God didn't create these words. We created these words, okay? What's important is what's in your heart. It's the language of energy. It's the language of feeling, okay? So when you're talking to God, it's not about a name. It's not about a title. It's about your intentions. So align your beliefs, your intentions, and your thoughts. Align everything. And thank God for it. And you'll see how everything in your life will align. So remember, it's not magic. Not toxic positivity. Okay? Don't ignore context. But do this and see how everything will align for you. Now, to end this off, I want you to do one action this week, okay? I want you to pick one desire, write it down, visualize it, and take an aligned action. And journal your progress, and then thank God for it. Thank God for you already having the thing that you desire, because you know that your intentions are good and true about it. And then let's talk about it more. Jump in the Discord. Drop a comment. Let me know how it goes. And thanks for being here, guys. Because your time is precious, and you chose to spend that time with me. So stay blessed, and I'll see you next week. Thanks for joining me on today's quest. If this episode gave you something to think about, or something to lift, share it with your squad, leave a review, and spread the mission. And if you're ready to go deeper, to train with purpose, grow in spirit, and build real strength that lasts, join our free Discord community. Because your solo grind doesn't have to stay solo. Until next time, stay sharp, stay faithful, and never stop leveling up.